Welcome to Jets Overtime presented by Nissan. Eric Allen and Eric Coleman inside the BetMGM studios. Houston, we don't have any problems. The New York Jets secure their first road victory of the year, Eric, with a 21-14 triumph over the Texans.
Yeah, it was a great complimentary game for the Jets. Offense contributed defensively. They got after the quarterback early, and special teams also came through with some nice returns and a block punt. So overall, great team victory for the Jets. Awesome win.
Let's bring in Anthony Becht. Anthony, you've been talking about it each week. You need to have the rush attempts. This game was all about ground gains for the green and white. More than 150 yards on the ground against the Texans.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's exactly what the doctor ordered here. You know, the fact that you have your young quarterback going back out, clearly still a little bit nicked up. We saw that in the game today, was able to finish it out, which is great to see. You know, you had to have sustainable running game, and I thought that Tevin Coleman did a great job. You know, Ty Johnson played well. You had the young running back coming off a practice squad in a homecoming affair, which I did not know, for Austin Walter having his first touchdown ever in the NFL at home in Houston is pretty sweet. So having that ability to run the ball, we talk about it all the time, 20 touches or more puts you in a scenario where I believe you can win. And they had about 34 in this game, so it was great to see it happen offensively.
34 carries, 157 yards, 4.6 yard average. You mentioned Austin Walter getting into the end zone. Zach Wilson with the first rush touchdown of his career. Before we get to Wilson, Eric, how about the defense? It's all predicated on creating havoc up front, and they certainly did that today. 5 sacks in all of Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, the defensive line answered the call today. You talk about Jonathan Franklin-Myers setting the tone with the interception with 2 sacks. Did a great job. Quincy Williams got a sack. It seemed like everyone was getting pressure on the quarterback, and that made things easier on the back end. Besides the one big play that they gave up, the secondary was all over the Texans receivers, held them to, I think, 105 passing yards, which is a great performance for the defense. Great job by Jeff Ulbrich, his staff, and all the players out there today.
John Franklin-Myers led the way with a career day. He is a house a half an hour from the stadium there in Houston. He had more than 50 people in attendance, 2 sacks, the 1 interception. He was disappointed that he was caught from behind, but we cannot complain about his effort. And our own Ethan Greenberg talked to JFM after the game.
All right, here on the field with John Franklin-Myers. John, first of all, how good does it feel to get a win?
Oh, it feels great, honestly. I mean, we worked hard, great week of preparation. You know, came out here and we handled business, man. Defense played well, offense did what they had to do, and we got the win. That's all that matters.
For you personally, can you take us through the interception and your day-to-day? What worked for you today and as a defense overall?
Just playing. I mean, Foley. Foley's the reason I got the interception. You know, I mean, he got the pressure on the quarterback. He threw it up. I tipped it and then caught the ball and tried to score a touchdown. But you know how it goes. And then just playing off each other. You know, like, you know, on one of the sacks, you know, I played off of Foley. The other one, you know, Shaq helped me get that sack. So just the guys I'm playing with, they put me in a position to make plays.
Awesome. JFM, appreciate it. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Eric, this is what the defense needed. The Houston Texans struggle up front, blocking for their quarterback and getting things going on the ground. The Jets turn in not only the 5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, and then 4 PDs in the defensive backfield.
Absolutely. I mean, the defensive line really came to play today. You know, they've been struggling the past couple of weeks. They got after it early and often. They never let up on the pressure. Did a great job of getting pressure on the quarterback, stopping the run, and in turn, you see the secondary had a great day. So it works hand in hand. Great play calling by Jeff Ulbrich, and that defensive line really set the tone today.
Anthony, how about the edge pressure and then the pressure up the middle? JFM now has 6 sacks on the year, and Quincy Williams did not want to get that sack race get away from him because he answered with his 6th sack on the season as well.
Yeah, guys, let's be honest, right? The defensive line's been pretty quiet the last couple weeks, especially JFM. You know, a guy just gets a new contract. We talked about it last week. Eric Allen on the show after the game. You know, he needed to show up in a big way, and he did. You know, whether it was homecoming, whatever it is for him, that's the kind of play that I think myself and everybody else is looking for on a consistent basis. Splash plays with the interception, the sacks getting in there. Foley Fatukasi continues to be a quiet unsung hero up front on the defensive line as well. And you talked about Quincy Williams playing well. So up front, it was key to making sure those things happened. And it was nice to see. And it did attribute, like Eric said, on the back end for the DBs, being able to, shut down some passes and pass defend some of those balls Tyrod Taylor was throwing.
For the first time since October 24th, Zach Wilson got back in the lineup, completed 14 of 24 today for 145 yards. Had the 1 interception, 0 touchdowns, but his rush touchdown was the game winner. And the voice of the Jets, Bob Wischusen, talked to him after the win.
Welcome back, Zach. How'd that feel?
It's good to be back. Rusty for sure, frustrating. The emotions up and down, but I thought the guys battled. We kept fighting. Hit the reset button after every single play, and we were able to pull through. I was proud about how everyone just kept going to the very end.
You look more comfortable in the second half than the first half, at least to us. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, for sure. And I gotta be able just to move on from the beginning. Things didn't start well from the beginning, and so move on and on to the next play.
One play that jumped out to me. You tell me if I'm seeing it right. The little turnaround hit to Berrios where he took off and made the big play for you. It looked like you had 5 blocking and they had 6 coming. And so that's on the quarterback, right? Like, there's going to be a free runner. That's sophisticated NFL quarterback play to know where you want to go on that play. Am I reading that right? Take me through that play and how important that one was for you and your offense.
Yeah, it was cool. We actually we called a play that had just a lot of options, and these guys didn't show any cover 0, but on tape. But then we come out and they gave it to us twice tonight, I believe. And on that one, I knew everyone was walked up. I knew what I was getting, and really it was just where's my easiest completion to get out and let those guys go make a play. So Brax did a great job on his route, turning inside, getting it to him, and then he did the rest by himself.
Sound like a fun locker room to be in just now. What does a win on the road especially mean for you and this team?
Yeah, it means a lot. Winning in the NFL is tough always, and so you got to appreciate it, but you also got to go learn from it, and we just got to keep getting better.
Congrats. Thanks.
Yeah,
you are watching Jets Overtime presented by Nissan. Eric Allen and Eric Coleman inside the BetMGM studio. I think Zach Wilson hit the nail on the head right there. Winning is hard in the NFL, and for a young team trying to find its way, they have to go through various experiences. Today, they were down 14-3 on the road, and they didn't go away. They had 18 unanswered points to end this game.
Yeah, as a young team, you want to continue to win in these different situations. You go on the road today, get your first win, face a little adversity at the beginning of the game, continue to fight. You stuck together, fought hard, and came back and won this game. I think this is a lot. This does a lot for their confidence moving forward, and it's going to help them become a stronger team.
Anthony, overall, what do you think of Wilson today? Seemed to wake up a little bit after his head was almost taken off there in the first half on that personal foul. On a serious note, though, that turned out to be a big play because at that point the Jets are trailing 14-3, and they ended that drive with an Austin Walter touchdown plus a Josh Johnson 2-point conversion.
Yeah, I think, Zach said it well himself. He was rusty. I wasn't expecting him to come out and, light it up. Listen, he hasn't played in a long time, and he hasn't played a lot yet in the NFL. So there is a process. It takes time. He's going to go through some growing pains, building a relationship. I 1,000% agree with him in the second half. He looked much sharper, much comfortable coming out of there, especially the fact with, Elijah Moore not getting many looks in the first half. Really found him early on to lead him down on that opening touchdown drive, which was great to see. That's something I think he needs to lean on. That's a kid that, play caller, quarterback can mesh together and really raise the probabilities of potentially him getting the football on really any scenario that a defense gives you moving forward. So, look, he's going to have to – the biggest thing for Zach is he improves every consecutive game he plays. And when he does that, he'll become what everybody wants him to be, but he needs these reps. He needs to go through the scenarios and situations and battle through it.
Did you have a favorite play from Wilson today? I go back to that first half, that scoring drive. I believe it was a 3rd and 9, and he went underneath to Ryan Griffin, who was short of the sticks, but the big guy carried through on his run and got the Jets 10 yards.
Yeah, that was a great completion. He showed patience. He found the tight end right when he needed him. But my favorite play is the rushing touchdown. I thought he showed a lot of athleticism. He was beat to the corner. He held up, cut inside, showed that toughness and that athletic ability, got in for the touchdown. And that was a big touchdown. The Jets really needed him to come through for him right there. So that was probably my favorite play by Wilson today.
Anthony, I think we got to give this coaching staff a lot of credit. You mentioned the defense. They had to step up. They certainly did. They gave up 202 yards against the Texans. And then on the other side of the ball, how about Mike LaFleur? The 4th and 1, Robert Saleh said after the game that Mike LaFleur was on the headset demanding we got to go for it, and they run jet sweep with their most electrifying performer in Elijah Moore. And then in the first half, the Jets didn't have to go for 2 there. It was early in the game. They go for 2, and Johnson gets in easily.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you talk about situational play calling. There's no doubt. Like, those were really good plays dialed up by Mike LaFleur, and that's what you expect. You expect to have those situations prepared and ready to go. It's good to see the players went out there and execute, because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. You can call anything, but if the players don't execute it, that's a problem. I love the jet sweep was blocked well. You saw all the defenders for Houston really pinch down inside. And, of course, listen, Mike LaFleur understands the situation scenario as well. You got a kicker right now that's kind of been struggling a little bit the last couple of weeks. And in that scenario, you figure, okay, do you go try and win this game and kind of put the nail in the coffin here? Or do you kind of let everybody linger around hoping that a player bounces back and makes a kick? So I thought, again, just having those plays designed, ready to go, but most importantly, executed was key.
How about Bryce Hall? He gives up the touchdown to Brandon Cooks on a beautiful catch by the veteran receiver, his 43rd touchdown of his career. But Hall comes back, 4th down, in a gotta-have-it situation. He comes up with the PD at the end of the game.
Well, that's Bryce Hall's toughness right there. He has a great mental toughness. He goes out there and competes. Not often do you see him giving up deep plays. Brandon Cooks ran an excellent route. The ball was perfectly thrown, and he threw it in stride. They're going to make plays. But the fact that he continued to compete, continued to knock down passes, get in receivers' faces, and come through on that 4th down, that was big and showed a lot about his character.
Offensively, Anthony, we know this team's got a ways to go, and obviously this is Zach Wilson's first game in more than a month. What do they have to do differently on 3rd down? You look at those numbers today, 2 of 13 on 3rd down.
Well, look, it's not an easy down. The quarterback has to be sharp, understand the scenario situation and what his available options are going to be, especially in the worst-case scenario. Worst-case scenario is, blitzes, guys coming off the edge, or it could be a disguised coverage bouncing through that. You're talking about microseconds, and you want to make sure that you understand where multiple guys are. Similar play when Berrios catches that ball in space. You find a guy, you know where he is, you release the ball on target. Another thing is, and I think Coach Saleh mentioned this in his press conference about Zach just understanding ball velocity, what the type of pass is in a certain scenario. Just watching quarterbacks, whether it's a deep ball, you need to put air on it. Whether it's a 2 ball where, or a 1 ball they call, where it's a little less, put a little more zip on it in the seams. And then those underneath catches to backs and receivers crossing, if they're within 5-6 yards, getting the ball in a place where it's easy for the receiver or whoever to catch so they can make the grab and go. So you saw a couple of those in the game, and that's something, again, just understanding that situation, feeling confident. And when you get the ball off with nice touch, that means you're getting it out early and on time. And that's going to be big in those 3rd down scenarios to help the Jets get better at those moving forward.
An unlikely hero for the Jets today. Austin Walter attended Rice University in Houston. He grew up in Houston. On Saturday, he was elevated to the active roster. 9 carries, 38 yards, and his first professional touchdown. Ethan Greenberg talked to him after the game.
Here with running back Austin Walter. Before we talk about this team win, Austin, for you, how good did it feel to finally punch one in the end zone, your first career NFL touchdown?
It felt great. It's no better place to do it other than Houston, Texas. I'm from here. I went to Rice University. I'm from Crosby, Texas. So my whole family was in the building. It just felt amazing. So I'm happy. I couldn't have asked for it better.
How many family members did you have in the stadium today?
So funny enough, I saw my aunt who actually works at NRG. I know my grandparents were here. Some of my longtime friends were here. A lot of people were here. So it was just a pretty cool homecoming for me.
So take us through really like your summer, right? You're with the Jets, then you joined the practice squad a couple weeks ago. Just the whirlwind of emotions and having to stay ready for an opportunity like this.
Right. So it starts with the 49ers. Right around the draft, as you know, they drafted 2 running backs. I'm grateful for the opportunity that they gave me, but due to the relationship that I had with that organization, as soon as I was released there, I was claimed right away by the Jets. So just all the emotions of getting injured in my first preseason game, coming back on the practice squad, it all prepared me for this moment, and I couldn't be more happy, more blessed in this moment right now.
What do you feel like allowed you to be able to step in and make an immediate contribution to this team today?
Well, this is my 3rd year in the system. I've been in it for the past 3 years. My rookie year, like I said, I spent time in San Francisco. Last year, I spent time in San Francisco. So I know this offense like the back of my hand. All I needed was an opportunity, and today I got that. So I'm blessed.
1, how do you build on this? And 2, can you take us to the mood of the locker room post-game?
Oh, the locker room's turned up right now. Everybody's having a good time, man. This plane ride's about to be crazy, about to hit the city, who knows. But the main thing is that we did it as a team. Everybody loves winning. Losing is not a good feeling. So everybody's on cloud 9 right now. But at the same time, we have to remain humble because, as you know, like, hey, you know, 1 week you win, 1 week you lose. You just got to take it game by game.
Awesome. Appreciate the time. Congratulations.
Man, thank you for interviewing me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
May we all have a day in our lives like Austin Walter. How cool is that? Family, friends in attendance. You playing at a stadium that you grew up really close to. Your aunt works in the stadium. You're on the practice squad Saturday. You're called up. You get in the game. You score your first professional touchdown. And let him party on the plane. I'm all down for that, E.
Oh, me too. I mean, that's when, success is when preparation meets opportunity. And he's been busting his butt for a couple of years now. His number was called, and he answered the bell. That's what the NFL is about. That's what, these opportunities are about. Whenever your number is called, you have to be ready. Austin Walter was ready. Congratulations. You had a great game. First touchdown back at the crib. Much success in the future for him.
Hey, Anthony Beck, what do you think about these homecomings? John Franklin Myers had more than 50 people in attendance today. Austin Walter had 50 himself. And those guys really balled out in front of their loved ones.
Yeah, any guys from Philly so we can pick them as players of the week next week when we play the Eagles? Yeah, look, it's great. Sometimes that is a little bit more push to help players. JFM talked about it. He had 50, 60 people in the stands. Look, you want to play well. I mean, you're going to give maximum effort. Not that he wasn't in any other particular game or situation, but you want to show out and you want to do something special and you want good things to happen. Both of those players clearly getting their opportunity. For Walters, yeah, I mean, it's what are the odds of it happening for him in that way? I mean, being in a place where, like you said, his family works in the stadium, for crying out loud. I mean, it's an unbelievable feeling. I would stay this, party on the plane and go home. Don't worry about anything afterwards. You're on the road. Get yourself back, get ready to play next week. Because you know what? Sometimes it doesn't matter what you did the week before. You got to get your mind right for next week. Hopefully, he's able to stick around and continue to help the Jets.
Oh, AB with the coach speak already, but it is a fair.
Yeah, it's as real as it gets, man. That's reality.
No, it is a very fair point because the Jets have yet this season to put back-to-back really strong efforts together.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're a young team. They have to learn from these situations. You go out there and get your first win, have a nice plane ride back. Milling over a loss is the same thing as celebrating too much over a win. So that's why Coach said they got 24 hours, Victory Monday, get it out of your system, and start preparing for Philly because next week is coming up quick, and they got to get ready.
We'll have time to break down the Jets-Eagles matchup, but I think of being here at One Jets Drive, AB, and the Jets practiced with this team way back at training camp, and obviously they always finish the preseason with the Eagles. Any of that familiarity not just help the players, but perhaps the staff in preparation for that matchup?
I think from a personnel standpoint, it helps. I mean, look, the Eagles were one of the hotter teams the last couple of weeks, and they were a disaster today in New Jersey, versus the Giants. So they're going to be in a place where they played the week before, which is very strange. That rarely does ever happen. So we'll be back in that same stadium. But, personnel does help. You go against certain guys. Preseason, it just depends who was playing, who was available. But, look, they're going to have to deal with a similar type of quarterback, likes to move around. They showed today that they can stop that and they can be very good versus a guy like Tyrod Taylor and what he did in Houston for last, being healthy the last game or so. And now they're going to have that opportunity as well. So, yeah, I think from a personnel standpoint, guys are going to have already played against certain guys. You always keep notes and remember things from past players, regardless of what the importance of the game was. So the good players will have notes on this. They'll flip back in their notebook and coaches, and they'll say, okay, this is this, and this, and they'll have a couple keys. And this is both sides for Philly and also for the Jets.
We're going to have to find out the status of Quincy Williams. Obviously, left this game today, Eric, but I want to get your thoughts on him more long-term, meaning 2021, the final 6 games, but beyond. What have you seen from him? Today, it's 7 tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss, of course, a quarterback hit. He's all over the place, and he's launching himself like a missile. Again, knock on glass here. Hopefully the young linebacker's okay.
Yeah, I mean, Quincy Williams is really playing himself into this organization. He plays with a lot of fire, a lot of effort, a lot of attitude. He really embodies the all gas, no brakes mentality that Robert Saleh always talks about. He's a smart player. He's always around the ball, creates havoc wherever he goes. And I really like the future for this kid. I think he'll be here for a while. I hope he's healthy and gets back on the field as soon as possible.
You mentioned more before, and I think that's going to be key on the other side of the ball, Anthony. We all know that. The guy's a dynamic playmaker. 4 catches today, 46 yards. Do you think him and Wilson took a small step forward today, especially at the beginning of the second half, like you articulated before, the third quarter? They came out, and it seemed like that was the game plan. We got to get 8 the ball.
Yeah, I mean, he was wide open. Everybody knows he's a guy. When everybody knows you're the guy that's, can break the game open for the team, normally, you put a little bit more clamps on those guys defensively. And those 2 catches, and most of the times he ran route, he had some space and some time to operate and do things. So, he's just extremely quick, a good route runner, understands spacing, has great hands, excellent hands for a smaller receiver, and got great speed. He understands the offense so far. I'm not seeing a guy that looks confused or playing slow. A perfect example is you saw the Texans. They ran a corner route today. Quarterback throws a perfect ball to the receiver, but the receiver doesn't follow through and finish the route, and he comes up, not being able to reach and get the ball, when really if he came out of his break running fast, he would have had an easy catch and touchdown. So those are the things that I watch, a young receiver do. That's why I keep saying he plays mature than he does as a rookie. And it's great to see. It's great to see. And let's just keep continuing to up his targets, because, if you're smart and you're a quarterback, you should find this kid, and he's going to make you, he's going to make you a lot of yards and a lot of plays if you do.
AB, we talked about this before we came on the air. What did you think about the ball distribution in the offensive backfield? Let me read you the numbers. Tevin Coleman, 16 carries, 67 yards. Ty Johnson, 6 carries, 42 yards. The aforementioned Austin Walter, 9 carries, 38 yards. Then Moore, the jet sweep for the 7 yards. And Wilson, 2 carries for 3 yards. All in all, that's 34 carries, 157 yards. My question is, Michael Carter out of the lineup for a couple games. How do you think? Do you think it's going to continue to work similar to this? Do you ride the hot hand? Looks like Tevin Coleman's got fresh legs right now.
Well, yeah, I don't care how they get to the number, right? So, having 30 rushes is even better. That almost guarantees you a win, let alone getting 20 carries total. The far as the distribution, I do believe it's a hot hand thing. I'm a little surprised that Walters got as many opportunities and carries that he did, in particular down in the red zone. Ty Johnson to me is a guy that starting this season, I thought has been a really good contributor, and I thought he'd have some more carries in this football game. I think he averaged 7 yards a carry, but Tevin Coleman, obviously healthy, understands the system, very reliable protecting the football. But, those 2 in particular will be able to carry a load collectively for this football team. And it's nice to have guys contribute like a Walters or potentially a Pirine down the road, whoever that may be, until Michael Carter gets back and can be your true number 1.
Let's go to your safety position. Elijah Riley had 5 tackles for the Jets. He just came here, played predominantly on special teams with the Eagles. last season and this season, and then Ashton Davis 3 tackles. What kind of player are the Jets getting at the safety position after they dealt with so many injuries there?
Well, they're starting to get more consistency. You know, when you play that safety position, you're new to the squad. You don't know your personnel. The familiarity has to grow. You have to earn that. And I think you're seeing Riley earn that. You're starting to see the other players earn that control of one another, that understanding of one another. I like what Riley did. He had a great third down stop today. He was flying around the field. You know, it's just great to see these guys communicating, not giving up a lot of big plays, and just playing on the same accord.
So, rookie quarterback Zach Wilson, hopefully he's got 6 starts left in the season. A step forward today, just getting back on the field, Anthony. What do you want to see from him in terms of progress as we move forward and we look ahead to Philadelphia? Not looking at what they do schematically, but what's his next step now?
You know, I think for any young quarterback, it's all about how you can get your process sped up a little faster. You know, a lot of information can be gathered pre-snap and then obviously post-snap, which has to be much quicker to help you be successful. So, again, just understanding the speed of the game, trying to get it to slow down as much as possible, really only happens if you play more plays, more snaps, which we're all assuming, you know, knock on wood, he'll be out there moving forward for the rest of the season. If he does that, he'll get better at it. But, you know, listen, it's pressure came. He had a couple play actions. His back's turned to the defense, not quite picked up the way maybe they drew it up and got some early pressure and took some hits. You know, it's good to get hit a little bit to get back in the groove. But as far as just allowing him to make plays on a consistent basis, you got to make sure that you're always good on the layups, right? You want to be a 90% passer, in my opinion, on the layups, the quick pass, the slants, the little check downs. Anything that you have a guy open, the ball's there, you want to make sure you're perfect with that. I think that's probably the first spot I'd probably lean on, being on the fact that you're going to learn and grow as you watch defenses as far as progressions and things of that nature. But when a guy's there, less than 5 yards, you got to make sure you deliver a perfectly thrown ball so that that player can at least convert and get those yards, let alone break a longer run off that completion.
E, what's the teaching point on the 1 interception? The Jets have a 3-0 lead there in the first quarter, getting points off the John Franklin Myers interception. Wilson is sacked on 2nd down. It's 3rd and 17. He scrambles, starts running. It looks, from my perspective, that Ty Johnson was prepared for him to continue to run because he started blocking up the field, and then there's a shovel pass, hits Johnson's back, intercepted. That leads to a touchdown.
Well, you know, I think Zach Wilson just, you know, reaching, trying to make more than what's there. You know, you have to take what the defense gives you. I thought he made a great decision by tucking it and starting to run. Ty Johnson sees him with the ball tucked under his arm, turns around to make the block, and then he tries to toss it to him. You know, listen, sometimes you're going to make bad plays. Sometimes things are going to bounce the wrong way. That easily could have hit Ty Johnson and went down to the ground. Instead, it bounces into the Texans' hand. You know, I think that just calm down, take what the defense gives you, and just try to relax a little bit before the game starts. Because you can see at the beginning of that game, he was a little anxious. He was ready to go out there. The ball was firing off his hand like a rocket. And he just needs to calm himself down, get into the game sooner, and he'll be fine.
Anthony, final thoughts from you. The naysayers will say, this is the Houston Texans. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL. They're 2-9 right now. But on the other side of the coin, the Jets were down 11 points on the road. They had not won away from home this year. Zach Wilson was playing for the first time in more than a month. And Robert Saleh said it last week. He was disappointed after that ball game against the Dolphins. 90% of the games in the NFL are lost. Well, the Jets didn't lose it today.
No, I mean, listen, you can't talk about teams and their records and how good they are. If any example of any season where bad teams, at least we think the so-called bad teams can win, it's been this year. We've seen it every week. An underdog has won. And, you know, with Tyrod Taylor playing, winning the game last week versus Tennessee Titans, and yeah, we get it, Titans are banged up, but they're still a really good team with really good players and they're well coached. You know, there was obviously some concern into this game. I mean, this was not an easy win. You're going on the road in the NFL. It's always tough. And anytime you can get one, you circle it, you chalk it up, and you put it in the bank and you move on. Whether it's the way you wanted to win it or way it didn't exactly happen the way you wanted to win it, it doesn't matter. You take that win. It takes a little bit of pressure off the week in general, just on how guys are acting and coaching and everything, just the whole persona leading into the next week's game. So it's good they'll have that this week. But, look, they got a nice little stretch of games here where they could honestly be very, if they catch fire here a little bit and play like they want to play, that they can win 2 or 3 of these games coming up before the Buccaneers in a couple weeks. So, listen, this is an opportunity for them. You can say what you want. It's a W. And this team, if they can build off it, it counts huge as something for the future.
Good analysis, as always, by Anthony Beck. As we close here, this is some old school football. Bruising run game, and getting after the quarterback defensively, 5 sacks in all, the 7 tackles for loss, the 4 PDs. The defense really carried the day in this one, and the Jets took a lot off of Wilson's shoulders. They rushed for nearly 160 yards. And like Anthony just said, these are some teams coming up who you should compete with. You should be in these games down the stretch against the Philadelphia Eagles, New Orleans Saints, and teams like that.
Absolutely, and I think you saw the recipe today. Running the ball well, dominating the offensive line of scrimmage and the defensive line of scrimmage. The D-line, they're the leaders of this defense. They have to continue to cause havoc on opposing offenses. Offensive line, run block. Do a great job of moving that line of scrimmage. It makes things easier for your quarterback with play-action pass and drop backs. It wears down that defensive line, and it gives your defense a rest when they're on the sideline. So playing that complementary football is vital if the Jets want to continue to win. I think that's the key moving forward.
And Zach Wilson, while his numbers passing were modest, remember, his legs gave the green and white the game-winning touchdown. They are 3-8 on the season. They secure their first road victory of the year with a 21-14 win over the Texans. For Eric Coleman, I'm Eric Allen. We're signing off from One Jets Drive.